Professor Tim. I'm a visiting professor of international management at the University of Northampton, and I'm also the teacher of the first workshop on the MBA program. So it's pleased to be speaking to you all tonight. How the webinar is going to go is that just for about 15 minutes and no longer than that, I'm just going to present a little bit of information about Northampton, about the university, and about the MBA program. Then after those 15 minutes, you're welcome to ask any questions. And for that, just use the chat box on the left, and I'll answer as many questions as I can. So let's begin with the just before I talk about Northampton, in fact, let me just make a quick mention about Stafford. Getting to this webinar or your communication so far would have been through the people at Stafford. So I just want to clarify what the role is, what their role is in this program. Well, Stafford, as the slide tells us, was the very first provider of distance learning education in the Middle East over 20 years ago now. And the company represents now 6 different British universities or different UK universities on all sorts of programs, certificates, diplomas, bachelors, MBAs, doctorates, etc. And I'm sure you've had a look at the website and you would have seen all of this. Then on the MBA program for Northampton in particular, Stafford is there. Its involvement is, of course, getting students onto the program, marketing the program, providing administrative support when you're on it, organizing workshops and that type of thing, and also provides academic support as well. But the difference of what I want you to be absolutely clear about is that you're entirely a student of the university. Stafford's role is just to represent these British universities in the Middle East because it's far more easy for Stafford to do that than the universities themselves. But when you join the Northampton program, you of course will be completely a student of the university. Your certificate will come from the university. You will be bound to the rules and regulations of the university. And of course, the teachers will be from the university. So I just wanted to clarify that firstly, what Stafford's role is, but remember, you're completely a student of the university. Now, speaking of Northampton, on my map of the UK here, you won't be able to read the towns there, but you'll be able to see a big arrow. Just Northampton itself, it is a town in the UK. It's about 100 kilometres north of London. It's a very old historic town. There's been settlements there since for about 5,000 years, and it appears in English history in many different ways. So it's a very old historic town. And the university itself, at the moment, is on a big campus just outside of the town. But they are actually building a brand new university campus right in the middle of Northampton. It's costing $500 million US. It's a huge investment. And that's going to be ready in 2 years, in 2018. So it's not far away now. So it's just an example of the amount of investment that Northampton is putting in. So that's where Northampton is. The university itself, there's been education in Northampton for about more than 800 years. So an awfully long time. But the University of Northampton, it traces its modern history back about 100 years to when it was called Northampton Technical College. And then over the years, it's gradually evolved to now be known as the University of Northampton. And it has about 15,000 students, and about 4,000 of those are in the business school. And this slide here just gives a few highlights of the university. And I'll just go around these circles starting from the top. The top says it's been nominated the Times Higher Education Outstanding Business School of the Year for 3 years in a row, 13, 14, and 15. Now, the Times Higher Education only nominates 6 business schools every year, and there's more than 120 of them in the UK. So to be nominated 3 years in a row is quite an achievement. The next circle tells us it's been England's #1 university for employability. Employability is just a measure of how many people graduate Northampton, get jobs, enter employment. And that percentage has been the high. The University of Northampton has been the highest in that, #1 in the UK. The next little circle says it's been #1 university for value-added education. That is a measure of teaching effectiveness. So it tells you the teachers are very good at the university. It's been awarded its Royal Charter. Now that's important because you cannot be called a UK university, you cannot award British university degrees without the Royal Charter. And the University of Northampton has that. So it's a fully accredited and recognised governmental university. And my last little circle here says it's globally recognised. The MBA program, for example, is taught on campus in Northampton. It's taught in London. It's taught, of course, in the UAE. It's taught in Singapore, in Kuala Lumpur, in Vietnam, in New Zealand, and lots of other places. So what's important about that is you're joining a global community of students, but also it means the university's name itself is becoming globally recognized as more and more graduates from all of these different parts of the world are gaining their degrees. So that's important for the recognition of the program and the university. Okay, let's move on to the program itself then. The MBA program, what you're going to study. And this slide here, which you've probably seen from the brochure, is the different modules that you'll do. So it's quite a traditional MBA program in the fact, as all MBA programs do, it teaches you about the different functions of a business. So it teaches you about marketing, finance and accounting, strategy, operations, these different types of things. But as well as that, it's a very contemporary program as well. Or what I mean by that is it takes into account that of the modern age of management, things that have changed. So the first module, for example, critical issues in business, discusses risk and globalization and all of these new types of things we deal with these days. And leadership is a module by itself because we talk so much about leadership in organizations these days. So the MBA program itself, the idea is it will teach you all of the different functions of the business, but in today's environment, not forgetting that we work in a very changing world. And on this one here, by the way, organizational behavior. That's the one that I teach. I'm an organizational behaviorist, so I teach you all about the people issues, all about motivation and organizational culture and structure and emotions and personality and all of these different types of things. So that's the MBA program itself. Just one thing I want to mention. You can also take the MBA with the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply accreditation. Now, if you want to do this, you do the general MBA, but there's just two parts that are different. There's one module that's different, and the business research project must be in that field as well. But this might be interesting for the people who are involved with procurement and supply, buying and logistics, essentially. And because it's accredited by them, once you're finished, you can actually apply for chartered status of the institute. So that may well appeal to some. So the difference is this one here is the general MBA program that the majority of our students take. But for those interested in procurement and supply, you may want to take the MBA with the CIPS accreditation. Okay, let's look at the May timetable then. And I'm sure you've been sent this, but this just tells us the order of the modules and the dates. So we're actually starting with intake 12, this will be, on Thursday, the 26th of May, with critical issues in business. Then that will be on the Thursday. Then on the Friday and the Saturday, the 27th and 28th, is when we do my module, Managing and Organizational Behavior. So the next intake's not far away for those who are interested, and we certainly need the application documents very quickly. And as I say, I hope to see you on that program in the very first workshop. Then after that, as you'll see, about every 10 weeks or so, you do your next module. So you do the workshop, and then you'll do your assessments, which will be due in time just before the next module is due. So how the program works is you're basically just taking it one module at a time. Do the teaching, complete the assessments, on to the next workshop. Do the workshop, complete the assessments, etc. And then all of this will take you in total 18 months. But if you look at the workshop dates, there's about what is there? It's about 12, about 14 months between that. So there's about 14 months on these. And then the other, taking you up to the 18 months, is the business research project. So that last part of the course is finishing that off. So it's I'll mention this a bit more in a moment, but it's a nice length of program. We have excellent completion rates on it. What happens in the workshops? I do get asked this. What do we do in those 2 days? As a teacher, now different teachers have different ideas or do different things, but in general, this is what we'll do. We'll introduce the key concepts of what we're talking of whatever the subject is. We'll do that by using some lectures where we'll stand and speak. We'll have short case studies, exercises, business games. They're very interactive, these workshops. We don't just stand there and talk. We do all sorts of different things. We'll also demonstrate where to find the resources on the subject. And very importantly is that we also explain how to successfully complete the assignments. So generally in all workshops, that's what we'll do. Key concepts, lots of interaction, lots of different ways of teaching. And then we'll finish by saying, this is what we want you to do to complete the assignment. And then after the workshop, you'll be working on what we call the Nile site, which is a website where we post all the materials. And you'll be working on those assignments. If you have any questions, you contact your tutor by email, phone, Skype, whatever you like. We'll look at a draft of the assignment, and then you'll hand it in. And my just down the bottom here, it's saying this is just mentioning a statistic of how popular these workshops are. Over the past year, so the last academic year, we had 31 Northampton MBA workshops in the UK, and the overall student satisfaction was over 95%. So the workshops are really good. The teachers are very good, and the students enjoy them. Okay, assessment. Here we go. All modules are, now the first thing, all of the modules are assessed through assignments. Now the assignment might be an essay, it might be a report, it might be a case study. In finance, they have a multiple choice quiz, online multiple choice quiz thing. In some way, it's a type of assignment. There are no exams on this program. And the reason for that is Northampton is far more interested in what you've learned about the program more than what you can remember. And their argument about exams is that it just teaches people basically to remember things, put them on a piece of paper that they forget the next day. Whereas assignments actually make you think about things, search for further materials and these ideas. And then that final task is a business research project, which is about 15,000 words. Some of you might know that as a dissertation. It's that type of thing. The support, there's loads of support on this program. There's firstly the international program leader who is based in Northampton and looks after you guys, looks after the MBA program. There's then somebody here locally who looks after the MBA program, and that person, you're looking at him. That's me. I'm the local program leader for the Northampton MBA. So for anything you want to, you want to talk to someone locally about, that's me. Then every module has a tutor, a subject expert, and then they are available throughout the period of the workshop all the way until you submit the assignments. We've then got administration at Northampton and locally, as I mentioned at Stafford, we have the administrators as well, who you'll see at every workshop. And I mentioned this Nile thing. This is the Northampton Integrated Learning Environment. Every module has its own Nile site, which, as I mentioned, it's just a website where we post lecture slides and we post the assignments and just anything we think will be useful for you. And then there's the online library, which you will access through the Northampton website, and that has thousands and thousands and thousands of journal articles and ebooks and all sorts of things, everything you'll need to be able to complete your assignments. So just my final bit of advice, why the Northampton MBA? Now, over the years, I've taught on more than 10 different MBA programs for various universities all over the world. And why do I think the Northampton MBA is particularly good? And these are just my sort of bits I like about it. Firstly, the price, which I'm going to show you in a moment. I think for actually a taught MBA where faculty are flying in and you're actually teaching you, I think it's very competitive. I like the duration. 18 months is about right. We get very good completion rates with this program. I've been on other MBA programs that have been as long as 3 years, and we tend to find it's just a bit too long. People tend to lose motivation, so the completion rates aren't quite as good. I like 18 months. And I think with only 7 weekend workshops, you can fit it in with your commitments. All of the people in that classroom will be working and juggling commitments, but this is doable. I like the fact you've got Northampton and local academic tutors and support. I think it's good there's no exams, and most students like that as well. And my next point is that it strongly emphasizes vocational learning. What that means is job learning, practical stuff, how you actually become a better manager, what you actually have to do to be a better manager. We don't forget about the theories, but that's the focus of this MBA program. And that makes it attractive to employers and useful for you guys as well, because how you're ultimately measured at work is by how good a job you do. And just a point about the special features. I won't mention much about these. Your academic consultant at Stafford can tell you more. But there's also, for example, a business week that they do. Every year, the Northampton organises a trip for the MBA students from all over the world, somewhere in Europe for a week, and you're welcome to join that. There's also the introductory marketing certificate that you can get, and a Prince 2 qualification as well. But if you're interested in about that, you'll see your academic consultant will tell you more about that as well. I mentioned the price, and that's why it's very reasonable. At $18,990 for this type of mode of delivery, I think it's very reasonable. You'd be lucky. It's really around about what you would pay for an online course. So I think it's pretty good. Okay, I've done well. 20 minutes. It's taken me about 20 minutes. As I said, I wanted to get that presentation done first so I can answer your questions that you've got. And I'm going to look at my chat box because I've got some questions already. Let me just start at the top. What have I got here? I've got a question from Mohammed. What happens if my assignment or workshop is not acceptable or failed? Okay. What happens is you submit an assignment for a particular module. If you don't pass that assignment, you get to have another go at it. So you get to resubmit the assignment. If you fail twice, then you would need to redo the module. But I can tell you that happens. It's very rare that happens. Most people can pass, especially by the second attempt. Oh, Khaled's asking if there's any exams. No, there's not, Khaled. And Almina, are there any other costs involved besides what you have mentioned? No, this cost covers everything in terms of the degree itself and the teaching of the degree, and the books, by the way, the core texts are all e-books, which you're provided with. So it covers everything. The only thing that you'll need to pay for is your travel, if you're coming from somewhere else, apart from the workshops, and your accommodation. Although for those outside of the UAE, speak to your academic consultant because they may be able to help you out with an accommodation allowance. So do speak to them about that. But the course itself is covered by the fees. And a question from Abu. I have more than 12 years managerial experience in procurement. Can I be exempted from any of the modules and be given credits because of my wealthy and strong industry background? No, I'm afraid we don't give exemptions just based on experience. If you've done an MBA or completed some modules of an MBA program somewhere else, those we can look to give exemptions if the modules are the same, but not based on experience. Those, because with your experience, you may not have covered the theories. That's the question that Omar's asking here. What about exemptions as I have a postgraduate diploma? Yes, we can certainly look at those. If you send in your transcript, we can see if they match. Khaled's asking, accept the price. Why should we prefer this program versus the London Business School? Well, that's a very good school. The London Business School. For those who haven't heard of it, London Business School is the most prestigious school in the UK. It's a very good school as well. For those, and it's sort of not quite, but almost equivalent to sort of Harvard. This is it's a good question. Why do you choose an MBA program? In the UK alone, as I mentioned, there's more than 120 business schools that all offer MBA programs. Around the world, there's more than 11,000 of them. So there's a huge choice of MBA programs. I know even here in the UAE, there's a choice of about more than 60 different MBA providers. And that's not even including the ones that are purely online. So I think the question here is, how do you choose one that's right for you? My advice is always, at the end of the day, all of them are going to give you an MBA, a Master of Business Administration. How they're going to differ, the length of the program, the entry criteria, how they're taught. They're going to differ in their price, of course. They're going to differ in how they're assessed. Basically, everything else differs. So you've got to make the choice that's right for you. And if I was somebody, if I was going to go to the London Business School, it's a very rigorous, tough course with tough entry criteria. It will be difficult to complete. It's extremely expensive. And then at the end of it, think to yourself, would my employer really have worried, if you're going for a promotion or you're looking for somewhere else, would they really have worried that I'd gone to the London Business School or gone to Northampton and got an MBA there? And for most employers, to be quite frank, they probably wouldn't bother them too much. All that they're worried about is the MBA. In some industries and some positions, it can matter. It matters that you go to Harvard or the London Business School. For 99.9% of people, it doesn't matter. You would never get your return on your investment for that. Anyway, take my advice, Khaled. Find an MBA program that's right for you, the right price, from a good quality institution, such as Northampton, government accredited, it's UK, it's good duration, how it's taught. If all these things fit, then it's the program for you. What have we got here? If I wish to do, from Almina, if I wish to do the MBA with SIPs, are there any registration procedures I should follow? No, just the same as the general MBA, applying this exactly the same way. So your academic consultant at Stafford will take you through it, but it's just the same as that. Khaled, what is the global ranking of this program? Oh, rankings. Now, I could talk about them for an awfully long period of time. Well, firstly, it depends on what you read and whether the ranking you're looking at is one where universities or programs put themselves for it, or whether whatever this body is that does the ranking, they actually assess everybody for it. There's so much into and out of it. Goes into these rankings. All I can tell you that the University of Northampton is a good quality UK institution. Rankings, it just depends on what you're going to read and which ranking you're going to look at. Done. Fantastic. Okay, thanks everybody. I think I've managed to get your questions. Even if I haven't, one last one from Almina. Are there any additional fees I need to pay for SIPs? No, you don't. Same price. Anyway, if there are any questions that come to you later, as they may well do, just get in touch with me. Just checking if I put my email address on here, and I haven't. I don't think, have I? Oh, yes, I have. There we go. You can get hold of me through Stafford, through tim@staffordglobal.org, or your academic consultant can get hold of me. So if you've got any questions about the academics of the program, anything like that, I'll be your best person to talk to. So please do get hold.